Good morning, everyone. Here's your Mormon News Update for July 11th, 2025. Today, we're going to start off in the church newsroom to discuss an article by Peter G. Vidmar of the Young Men General Advisory Council. He says, a few years ago, my wife Donna and I enjoyed a very special visit to the Holy Land, where we followed the footsteps of our Savior, Jesus Christ. While we visited traditional and historical biblical sites, I gained a new perspective on the words in the New Testament that I have read since my youth. I felt a special spirit as I visited Nazareth, Galilee, Jerusalem, Gethsemane, and walked where Jesus walked. For some background, Peter Glenn Vidmar received a Bachelor of Arts degree from UCLA in economics. After a competitive career in gymnastics, Peter became a professional speaker at corporate meetings and events. His church service includes serving as a public affairs specialist, seminary teacher, bishop, stake presidency counselor, and mission president in the Australia Melbourne Mission. He has volunteered at a number of sports and community organizations. Between all of that and his trip to Jerusalem, I am thinking money is not an issue for him. He goes on to say in his article, but this was not the first time that the scriptures came to life for me. This first happened for me in the seminary program of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Seminary helped shape my life's direction. In the late 1970s, I was the only active church member in my high school in Los Angeles, California. Although I had some good friends, I sometimes felt that I didn't fit in with most of my classmates. I didn't feel comfortable attending their parties and other activities. Besides, I was a dedicated athlete and I didn't have much free time. Personally, even now, years after growing up Mormon, I often find it challenging to fully navigate and feel comfortable in social situations, particularly those that involve drinking or parties. Growing up very strict, very orthodox Mormon meant I simply wasn't exposed to those types of dynamics. So I sometimes struggle to understand the unwritten rules, social cues, or how to participate authentically without feeling awkward or out of place. It's like a different social language that I'm still trying to learn. Peter goes on to say, but I did take the time to attend seminary every weekday morning. Seminary became a refuge and a bright start to each day. Many years later, I was grateful to be called as an early morning seminary teacher for the 4 years prior to my call to serve as a mission leader with my wife. Nothing could have prepared me better to work with our amazing elders and sisters in Australia. I love seminary. For those who aren't familiar, the LDS Early Morning Seminary program is a daily religious education class for high school-aged members of the church. It typically takes place very early in the morning, often before regular school hours, usually at a local meeting house or a teacher's home. The curriculum involves a systematic study of the church's scriptures over 4 years: Old Testament, New Testament, Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, and church history, aiming to indoctrinate the children during some of their most vulnerable years. This program differs from the Release Time Seminary program, which is another option for daily religious instruction for high school students, primarily in areas with a significant Latter-day Saint population. Unlike early morning seminary, students attending Release Time Seminary are excused from a portion of their regular public school day to attend a seminary class. These classes are typically held in dedicated seminary buildings, often located immediately adjacent to the public high school campus, and the curriculum is the same 4-year scripture study used in the early morning programs. Release Time Seminary teachers are also full-time employees of the church educational system and are paid accordingly, whereas early morning seminary teachers are volunteers. In the Salt Lake Tribune recently, they showcased an article about how early morning seminary is underfunded, with teachers often receiving as little as $4.50 per student annually or 50 cents per student per month. This meager budget often forces dedicated teachers to personally cover classroom expenses and supplies, leading to a have and have not system where the quality of a student's seminary experience can depend on their teacher's personal disposable income. The article came out in December of 2024. And guess what? It seems that not much has changed since then as far as funding goes for early morning seminary. Let's look at a recent post from a Facebook group for seminary teachers that says, "Has anyone had any success getting an increase in their seminary budget? It still shocks me how poorly funded this program is. We get $50 a year, which I know is more than many. I've just never heard of anything in the church that relies on personal funds like this. I don't want to be too annoying about it, so just curious if anyone has had any success. Do we talk to CES, which stands for Church Educational System?" It is highly problematic for a seminary teacher in the multi-billion-dollar Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to be asking for budget increases and feeling the need to apologize for it, not wanting to be annoying, for several key reasons. First, it starkly highlights the disconnect between the church's immense financial wealth and the perceived underfunding of its foundational educational programs. For an organization with documented billions in assets and substantial annual tithing income, expecting dedicated teachers to personally subsidize basic classroom needs or rely on informal fundraising from often less affluent members indicates a problematic allocation of resources or a lack of transparency in budgeting priorities. Second, the teacher's reluctance to be too annoying speaks to a culture that discourages open discussion and direct requests for adequate funding, even when clearly needed. This can put dedicated individuals in an unfair position, where they either bear the financial burden themselves to ensure program quality or risk being perceived as ungrateful or lacking faith if they vocalize needs. This implicit pressure can lead to a sense of guilt or resignation among teachers, ultimately impacting the quality of the educational experience for students due to insufficient resources despite the church's vast wealth. On a somewhat related note, let's read an email from an Elders Quorum president that says, "Hello, brothers and sisters. Our ward is responsible for cleaning the building in March, July, and November this year. We have found it's more effective to arrange a schedule with an assignment for each family, rather than pass around sign-up sheets. This way, we can ensure there is enough help for each cleaning, and each family should only have to clean once during the year. Here is the schedule for the year, also attached as a PDF. Please check and see if your assigned day will work for you. If your assigned day will not work for your family, we ask that you please reach out to another family to see if you can switch assignments. Cleanings take place on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Brother Blank is assigned to coordinate the cleaning, so he will reach out prior to your cleaning assignment to remind you. Please reach out to me or Blank with any questions or concerns. Thank you for your willingness to serve in maintaining our meeting house. Signed, President Blank." The church could easily pay for professional cleaners, but they refuse to. Having their members, who are often already taxed with big families, full-time jobs, and other church callings, also cleaning the meeting houses is becoming absurd. It is clear from this email that members are not keen on volunteering to do it, so now they are simply being assigned. I hope that eventually members just stop doing it altogether and the church is forced to pay for professionals again. This email also reminded me of how much I hated trying to find subs for my calling when I was a member. When I lived in southern Utah, I was in a fairly affluent ward, although my partner and I literally did not have enough to pay even our basic bills. All of the higher callings were filled by people with money, and I was a primary teacher the entire time we lived there. I was still in contact with my parents at the time and would often spend weekends driving to their house for a visit. This meant trying to find a sub for my primary class. I hated doing it and eventually just stopped finding a sub and would leave the primary president in a lurch, which I of course felt super guilty about. I wish I had known about boundaries at the time and would have just turned down the calling in the first place. Now let's go to newsbreak.com, where it says U.S. Senator Mike Lee, a Republican from Utah, is reportedly causing severe repercussions to his own religion due to his rabid embrace of Donald Trump and his tactics. Lee, a MAGA lawmaker who backs Trump every chance he gets, was in hot water when he posted insensitive statements about a shooting in which a Democratic lawmaker was killed. His religion, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Latter-day Saints has been harmed by those comments and others, according to a Politico report. Lee's online persona has further damaged his already frayed relationship with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whose members are often referred to as Mormons, according to Politico. It wasn't just Washington that was buzzing over Lee's response to the tragedy. It also set off a debate in Salt Lake City. At the global headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a discussion over how to respond, if at all, began in earnest. According to two people granted anonymity to discuss private conversations, the report states. Several of the church's senior leaders saw the posts and were concerned. Lee is a prominent Latter-day Saint, arguably the best-known elected church member in the nation. His insensitive words were reflecting poorly on the faith at large. One church official estimated the backlash from Lee's posts would have severe repercussions for the church's public image, the first person said. The report notes that for Lee's church, that bellicose online alter ego poses a problem. Even as some Christian denominations have delved into Christian nationalism or partisan politics during the Trump era, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has consistently called on members to do the opposite, to be peacemakers in the civic square, according to the report. After its analysis, the church, however, made the decision to stay quiet. Top-down public rebukes of individual members are very rare in the faith, much less when action could be seen as a partisan exercise and further exacerbate tensions. The church, as an institution, has a strict political neutrality policy. Its members, while encouraged to be Christ-like, are to act as they wish, according to the report. But the incident brought to a boil something that had been simmering in Salt Lake City for some time. Mike Lee is far right, said one emeritus general authority. A former high-ranking church official granted anonymity to speak openly. The church is not far right. This is so interesting. The church has historically been meticulous about its image, often seeking to present itself as a global benevolent organization that promotes peace and civility. Lee's bellicose online alter ego and association with divisive political tactics, especially as a high-profile Latter-day Saint, directly clash with this carefully cultivated image. The internal buzzing and concern among senior leaders, even leading to discussions about a public rebuke, reveal how seriously the church takes perceived reputational harm. They usually don't allow people to make them look bad, but they are put in a difficult situation here. Stick with their claimed values of peace and Christ-like love, or leave Lee alone because he is a public figure with a lot of sway with some members. If I'm being honest, I don't think Jesus would hesitate to have put Lee in his place. Now let's go to LDS Daily, where it says, 3 letters that mean so much to Latter-day Saints. I got my first CTR ring for my 12th Christmas. This was a monumental event in my young manhood. I would be getting my first real CTR ring and receiving the Aaronic priesthood within a 1-month period. I was thrilled to finally be upgrading from my adjustable CTR ring that turned my finger green to a sterling silver CTR ring. I wore my CTR ring every day. Not only did my ring serve as a constant reminder of the importance of the principles of the gospel I had been taught since I was in primary, but it also served as a reminder if I was ever faced with temptation. Let's go back to 1970 to learn something that article is not going to tell us about the CTR ring. In 1970, a church committee led by Naomi W. Randall reportedly formed to address the growing feminist movement, and its "My Body, My Choice" mantra of the 1960s recommended that a distinct badge of belief be incorporated into official church material for children. Some speculate that the eventual design of the modern CTR shield, featuring 3 letters and a green background, was specifically influenced by this context. According to this theory, the green color was chosen to subtly mimic the ERA green associated with the Equal Rights Amendment, and the 3 letters were intended as a direct symbolic counter or replacement for the ERA's burgeoning logo. In this view, the widely adopted CTR ring thus became not just a reminder for for children to make good choices generally, but also a quiet, pervasive symbol reinforcing church values and countering the societal shifts championed by the feminist movement and the ERA. And last up today, let's finish with this great quote that says, "I promise you there is no hellfire, no burning pits, no place where infinite punishments are dealt for finite mistakes. You are not wicked by nature. You are not born broken. You deserve love, not fear." And that's your update for today, folks. I absolutely hope you have the day that you deserve.